we will reflect on the Pasuvihara Sutta. This is from SD 47.12. The Pasuvihara Sutta, the discourse on dwelling at ease, A 5.105. This is from the Anguttara, Book of 5, Sutta number 105. The theme of this sutta is harmony in the Sangha. When we look at the records of how the early monks lived, especially the Arhats, and those diligently working towards Arhathood, or even practicing to be streamliners or as streamliners, they live together in harmony. And this is stressed again and again in the Buddha's teaching. That is why the Buddha introduced the Vinaya, to not only to keep the monks disciplined, but to help them live a life which is healthy in the physical sense, healthy in the mental sense, and also healthy in the social sense, so that the monks do not abuse their support, the kindness of the laity. In a sense, the Vinaya was introduced to protect the laity, the lay supporters, and also, of course, to remind the monks of their vows, their status, their condition, and their purpose. The word Vinaya itself means to, you translate it literally, it means take away. We means in an analytical way, and Naya means to take, so you can take away by looking at ourselves, examining our actions, and so on. The Vinaya is like a strong kernel, shell that protects the Dharma. Of course, where the Arhats are concerned, they do not need the Vinaya because they are naturally self-disciplined, they are naturally happy. And because they're happy, it's easy for them to keep the precepts. It's when we're not happy, then we start breaking the precepts, because when you're happy, you start looking for things outside, you begin to measure yourself against others. And there are many names for this kind of situation. We can call this a kind of selfishness, a kind of measuring, a kind of arrogance, a kind of conceit, and so on. Or in one word, craving. But the early monks, they were well trained, they remember the rules, they remember the Dharma, they practice meditation, and they live together happily. Take the case of we have a few monks living together to do meditation retreat together, and this is recorded in the Upakilesa Sutta. We have Anuruddha and two of his other monk friends living together, and they kept to the rule of silence. Now, these are very good friends. They decide to stay together, and so that they can live in comfort. Comfort in the sense, not worldly comfort. Comfort meaning allowing the body to be healthy, and having this conducive environment to meditation. So they live almost the whole week in silence, except for the fifth day when they gather together to discuss Dharma. This is very interesting because normally if we have good friends, we would like to chit-chat over some games or some things of common interest. But here, they're such good friends, they're just happy to be together, and there's nothing to be said really. They're just happy in the presence of each other. And it's not just being together like rocks and stones, if you like, but as living beings. So they're aware of each other, they are mindfully aware, they are filled with loving kindness and awareness of each other. So that if anyone needs help, they just need to motion, or just by their action, the other person will know. So, can you imagine this wonderful situation where these three friends live together in silence, and yet they work together to clean the toilet, to fill the water pot, to have meals together, and meditate, of course. And what is even more interesting, Anuruddha says, in fact all the three monks reported of the Buddha in the same way, saying that when they live together like this, the needs of others always come first. So they will put the situation of the others before theirs. And they're very happy to follow the advice or the suggestions or the needs of their companions. So in that way you find there's this wonderful harmony. Because of this kind of wonderful fellowship, King Bimbisara himself was very impressed. And in the Dhammacettiya Sutta we find the king going to the Buddha and telling the Buddha how impressed he is with the monks, happy, radiant, how the monks live together in great harmony, like mixing like milk and water, looking at each other in the eye, and living happy together, practicing the Dharma. So these are some of the examples of how those really good monks in the Buddha's time live and practice. And imagine when they live in a monastery, there are all these good monks, the lay people are very inspired. And no wonder the Buddhist community grew so fast. And there were also lay people who followed the examples, and these lay people themselves became very inspiring exemplars and practitioners of the Dharma. So how do we today benefit from this kind of situation? Now this sutta gives us 5 or 6 ways, 5 ways of living together in harmony. The Pali word is pasu vihara, living happily together, living in harmony together. It's a very short sutta, but the advice is very clear and very wonderful. The discourse on dwelling at ease, A5.105. Bhikshus, there are these 5 ways of dwelling at ease. What are the 5? Here, bhikshus, ever present in a monk is loving kindness through deliberate deeds of the body towards his fellow brahmacharis, both openly and privately. Okay? Now look at this first condition, first dharma. Loving kindness is always present in the monk. Of course, here monk refers to any practitioner. The monk is the exemplar, so it can also refer to us. And this loving kindness is always there in the actions. The body here means the bodily actions in the monks towards fellow brahmacharis, towards other colleagues in the sangha, both openly and privately. In other words, when they are with each other, or even when they are away from each other, they think happy thoughts in terms of their actions. What does this mean? For example, when they are walking, they are mindful walking, they don't cut across each other's path, they help each other when there is need for help. And even when they're away for each other, maybe a certain monk is sick, so they will remember, be mindful of this sick man, maybe get some food for him, and so on. So you have this kind of very interactive, wonderful, happy life together. In fact, when we practice loving kindness, we are reminded to show it in all our postures, standing, walking, sitting, lying down. This is one meditation which can be done in every human posture as long as we are not asleep. And even when we are sleeping, we sleep happily, loving kindness, in the manner of speaking. Number 2, ever present in a monk is loving kindness through deliberate deeds of speech towards his fellow brahmacharis, both openly and privately. So even when they talk with loving kindness, meaning they talk with respect for each other, they talk humbly to each other, they talk in a way where they're aware of the other person. And of course, there is this practice of right speech. The words are helpful and useful and unifying and so on. So, for example, here we have records of a conversation between Sariputta and Moggallana, for example. Moggallana tells Sariputta that his wisdom is so great, and that Moggallana says, "Oh, my wisdom is just like a little pebble, and your Sariputta's wisdom is like a huge Himalayan mountain range." And then Sariputta replies, "Oh no, so your psychic power is great. So my own psychic power is just like this little grain of salt, and your psychic power is like this huge big barrel of salt." So you find this kind of wonderful, pleasant, friendly exchange. So even you find monks, they do talk in a friendly way in that sense. And of course, very often you find other monks who come to Sariputta, especially because he's the wisest after the Buddha, and ask him questions. Or sometimes he would ask another monk questions, and that becomes a way of teaching in a catechism, question and answer. So there again we find another wonderful, peaceful exchange between monks for our benefit, through words. Number 3, ever present in a monk is loving kindness through deliberate deeds of mind towards his fellow brahmacharis, both openly and privately. So in other words, even when they're not talking, when they're meditating, for example, they send out loving kindness to the others. Even when they're meditating on their own in solitary retreat, they remember their fellow monks or teachers, the Buddha, and they send out this loving kindness. Of course, this is very important because this loving kindness which we exude around us helps to create this peaceful atmosphere around us. So wherever we go, there's this sense of peace. The people around, they feel good and safe, so they too are friendly to us. So this is where, in other words, we are walking, breathing, living example of inner peace. And this is a very important living experience in the Buddha's teaching. Notice what we have said so far. If you just try to feel it, it is very peaceful kind of life. Lively in the sense of there is exchange through action, through speech, but we don't hear noisy banging of drums and cymbals and trumpets and even loud chants. There's this wonderful peace. Now, if this is put in a layman situation, you find laymen who are creative, who are great writers and thinkers. This is a wonderful situation. So in other words, this is a great way, alternative way for a noisy, stressful world. We're not saying that this sort of a quiet way is possible throughout the world. That's the value of the Sangha, because this kind of way of life is not widely possible, not universally possible. Maybe in heavenly state, perhaps, but that's just a maybe, because we have never been there in this life, so we do not know what heaven is like. But the point is, it's possible to be peaceful. So the Sangha way of living provides this sense of peace. The Dharmafara, the Buddhist practitioners' way of living, provide the sense of harmony for the world, to take a break, so to speak, to leave the world for a while, to recharge themselves, to be truly happy, and be able to see themselves as they really are, and from there attain wisdom that brings them happiness and in due course awakening and liberation. And number 4, he dwells openly or privately in a holy life that is accomplished in moral virtue, with virtues that are dear to the noble ones, unbroken, untorn, unmixed, spotless, liberating, praised by the wise, untarnished, giving rise to samadhi or stillness. Right? Here there's a hint that to cultivate towards becoming a streamwinner, actually. This number 4 is how to live happily together, to keep our precepts well. The precepts allows happy communal living, accepting others, respecting others, sharing others, nurturing others. So moral virtue, the precepts not about not breaking rules. It's about showing this wonderful loving kindness, respecting life, respecting another person's happiness, others' freedom, and respecting truth, and of course the mind, allowing it to grow spiritually, intellectually, and other good ways. So here moral virtue is clearly stated. There are 2 important points here at least. The second point is, this is the kind of moral virtue which the saints rejoice in. Because when they see lay people practicing the precepts in this way, they may smile, they might even praise a lay person and say, well, this is good because you are preparing ground for attaining streamlining and higher levels of awakening. The last line says, this precepts that we keep, this moral virtue that we keep, gives rise to samadhi. Right? So this is a very interesting way of looking at keeping the precepts. How does keeping the precepts help us attain samadhi? When we keep the precepts, we do not worry about our actions. We do not feel guilty or remorse. When we're sitting quietly, we might recall some wrong things we do and we regret and we feel very unhappy. Maybe that's the reason why people are put in prison, so that they can spend time to think about the wrong things they've done. But here, because we have kept the precepts well, or we remember those times when we have kept the precepts, it gives us a sense of peace and joy, and from that peace of joy, we cultivate samadhi, mental stillness, and from there arises dhyana, if we are inclined to. And the last one, number 5, he dwells openly and privately, sharing the very same view that is noble and liberating, acting on which leads one to the full destruction of suffering. Right, so this number 5, all the monks living together respect each other's views. They share the same view, for example, that there is only one Buddha, and this Buddha is the historical Gautama, and we only need one enlightened being. He's like the captain of a ship for this whole universe. We don't need any other Buddhas. And then there are the Arahats, who come after the Buddha, and the awakening of the Arahats just like the awakening of the Buddha. The only difference is the Buddha comes first, so primus inter pares. This is what the Sambuddha Sutta tells us. So they share this common view, and they live happily together in this sense. So with this kind of understanding, they clear their minds of attachment to the self-identity views. They give up, they superstitious beliefs, meaning finding answers to their problems outside of themselves. In other words, they resort to self-effort, just as the Buddha did for his awakening. And they cleared away all doubts by studying the suttas, listening to Dhamma talks by the saints, by the great teachers, asking them questions. So it's not just listening to talks, but they're listening from people who are truly qualified, who are enlightened, who have some level of deep understanding of the Dharma. So here, with that calm mind, they're able to show the full attention when the Dharma is being spoken, or when watching the good deeds of others, or recalling their own good deeds and the good deeds of others in their meditation. So these are 5 ways that we ourselves can practice to live at ease. Number 1 is to show loving kindness in our actions, whether to others, whether openly or privately. Number 2, to show our loving kindness by way of speech, when we talk to others or even behind their back. Number 3, to cultivate a mind of loving kindness, even while we are with the people or when we are away from them. And number 4, to diligently practice the precepts and cultivate moral virtue for the purpose of meditation, so that we have a calm body, supporting a calm mind, and a calm mind nurturing a calm body. And finally, we share the same view, understanding the Dharma for the sake of liberation, in the spirit of the parable of the water snake, as taught to us in the Alagadupama Sutta. So finally the sutta closes, these bhikshus are the 5 ways of dwelling at ease. Just now close with short reflection of this wonderful occasion for us to be able to look at the suttas and listen to the suttas. To have the suttas still with us is like we have fresh air, beautiful trees in this wonderful garden that we have. Reflecting in this way is wonderful good karma of joy and peace, by the power of such good deeds, by the power of rituals. May we, with courage and wisdom, to aspire to attain at least stream winning in this life itself. By the same token, to the power of our good deeds, let us send out our loving kindness to all our loved ones and friends, people who have been kind to us, people who have taught us the Dharma. May they be well, may they be happy. And also to those seeking the Dharma, and those who have difficulty finding the Dharma, may they quickly find the true teaching. If they have wrong views, may they change their wrong views to see right view clearly true, with compassion and wisdom in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.